Welcome back to the Concussion Protocol podcast. My name is Connor. With me, as always, are Chance and Chase. Today, we're talking about the big dogs, the SEC, Southeast Conference, where it all happens. We're going to be doing a deep dive into all of the drama, all of the high stakes, all of the new faces, all the returning faces, all the overhauls, everything that makes this one of the consistently most exciting and impactful conferences in college football. Chase, as the resident SEC expert and SEC superfan, where would you like to start off with today?
Well, I think a great place to start is to address the elephant in the room. Our favorite team to talk about, Alabama.
Woo!
Yeah.
War Eagle. Oh, sorry, the other one.
Man, you just turned the whole fan base against us, man.
Yeah. No, I have a feeling that we're not going to get a lot of favor in Tuscaloosa with this show.
Yeah. So Alabama's interesting, you know. They're coming off one of the worst seasons they've had in a long time, which, granted, is only 4 losses. That's for a lot of teams.
It's still a top
for a lot
15
of teams,
finish.
that's still a good season. But for Alabama and a lot of SEC teams, that is unacceptable. Like if Nick Saban was coaching this team when that happened, you know he would have been so unhappy with that team. It would have honestly been interesting to see the kind of interviews he would have had if he was the one coaching when that happened. But you know, they gotta find a way to bounce back from a 9-4 season with a bowl loss to Michigan, where they started with 4 turnovers in the first quarter, I believe. And I think the biggest question about them is who's going to be starting at quarterback. What's going to be going on with them? They have really 3 guys, but they have 2 guys that could be their starting quarterback. A junior in Ty Simpson, who is rumored to be the one that's probably going to be the one starting the season, and they have a freshman in Keelan Russell, who's more of a mobile quarterback and has a lot of talent, but he's still a freshman and he's unproven. So I think that's definitely going to be the big question about that team and what Alabama team shows up this season in their big game.
Yeah, I think that Kalen DeBoer is an elite level coach. I mean, obviously he took Washington from being a mid-tier team that sometimes does big things into a national level powerhouse in a pretty quick amount of time. And he obviously has a lot less work to do at Alabama. I think the biggest thing for the Crimson Tide fan base is to be a little patient with the process. They gotta understand that Nick Saban is arguably the best college football coach that there's ever been, and his success is unparalleled and going to be nearly impossible to replicate for a long time. So let the man cook a little bit. And you're right, though. There's a ton of question marks. There's a lot more question marks going into this season as Jalen Milroe was wildly inconsistent. I mean, he showed flashes of looking like the one and only Heisman contender, and then he showed flashes of should he really even be starting last year and everything in between. And they were still able to win 9 games. And so moving forward, there is potential to move backward. But I think the offense is the big question mark. I think the defense probably is going to improve, and that's what takes teams to the next level, is always an elite defense. Alabama was not elite on defense last year, but the portal has been good to them. The recruiting trail has been good to them, and that's one thing that they were smart about with bringing in Kalen DeBoer, is he knows how to recruit. That was something that Nick Saban did really well, and it's not just about knowing how to hire the right coordinators and get everything in place and create that culture. You can't out-coach bad recruiting, you know? And Kalen DeBoer is the kind of guy that can do that. So, yeah, Chance, if I recall, you were actually pretty high on Alabama's defense going into this year.
The best defense in the country, I believe. They're monsters. They've got playmakers everywhere. And I think the question isn't who's the QB. It doesn't matter, because that defense is going to eat up everybody. And then you still have playmakers all over the field on offense. Did you know, guys, that Ryan Smith is only 17 years old?
Williams.
Yeah, sorry. Yes, Ryan
Right.
Williams. That's what I meant.
He
Well,
actually turned
he'll probably be 18 by the end of the season,
Nope.
but
Nope. He is going to be 17 forever because then we wouldn't have anything to talk about.
wait, hold on. Are you saying that Ryan Williams would have been in high school if he were not this talented, though?
He could be in the NFL right now and he would be 17 years old. That's all I've got
That's
to say.
incredible.
Just-
You're talking about the number one receiver at Alabama in terms of dropped passes. Was only 17 years old.
Whoa. That's not a talking my guys. You're going off script. Ryan Williams is 17. Keep on script, man.
You're right. Sorry, everybody. Yes, Ryan Williams. He is only 17, and he's just so good.
That was
And it's a really good sign of a very healthy football program that's going to make a national run, to the point where if they don't make a national run, we should completely restructure how the playoff is done. If your best player is a 17-year-old freshman, that shows that your program is just so good.
He, in their defense, he is a beast. I mean, probably the second best receiver in the country. I mean, he is that good.
Yeah.
I do wonder
And he's
if there's
definitely going to be better. The few weaknesses that he did show, which everybody was very quick to point out, he's probably going to have shorn up a lot of those.
And I mean, arguably, he had the best play in the country last year. That touchdown against Georgia was just insane. I mean, it left me on the ground in tears. I mean, it was beautiful and disgusting.
At the same time.
Yeah, but I'm very high on Alabama. I think they're going to be very good. They've got a tough schedule though, and can you believe it? They don't play Mercer this year, guys. They're going to play actual teams.
An actual team being Eastern Illinois.
Okay, well, I didn't want to say that name, but yes, they have that one. That one replaced the Mercer game.
Louisiana
but they tried to schedule some hard games. It's unfortunate that those hard games, that those teams are bad this year with Florida State and Wisconsin, but they tried. And you know what? The committee is going to give them credit. Let's give it a hand for the committee, guys. Yeah. They're going to get in because they beat Wisconsin and Florida State.
Don't you know that Wisconsin also plays Ohio State? Therefore, exactly. Alabama played a team that played Ohio State. Yeah. Therefore, they're the best.
That is true. But in reality, you look at the rest of their schedule, they're at Georgia. I mean, Vanderbilt beat them last year. They're playing those guys again. They've got Tennessee. They're at South Carolina, LSU, Oklahoma. I mean, they beat them last year, and they're going to be better. And then you've always got the Iron Bowl. That's no joke. I can easily see them losing 3 games, but 3 games. So
here's what I'm hearing you say, though, Chance. And I want to know, Chase, are you considering this a hot take? Because you're talking about this is a legit schedule. I often give Alabama a really hard time for their schedule, and yeah, they have ULM and Eastern Illinois. I know people that have played at Eastern Illinois. I personally had a coworker who played at Eastern Illinois, and he was not that good.
He's not in the NFL?
No. I don't even think his own high school would have hired him back as a coach by his own admission. And he was good enough to play at Eastern Illinois. That's bottom of the barrel FCS program, and ULM, which is one of the bottom, perennial bottom 10 contenders. But outside of that, they do have a super legit schedule. And you're still saying, though, that against all of those teams, several of which they lost to last year, that they're still going to have a top 10 defense?
No, they have the best defense in the country. That does not mean they're going to end up with the statistical best defense in the country. They're going to play some hard teams. They're going to give up some yards. But that doesn't mean that they're not the best.
I'm not saying number one, because we all know that, like, statistically that actually does usually go to the smaller schools who end up having a good group of 5 year and they just end up steamrolling because they like. But a top top 10 defense overall, total defense kind of thing.
How good are you saying the defense is? Are you saying this is like 2015 Alabama defense or a 2020 Georgia or 2021 Georgia defense?
Comparable, yeah.
You think they're going to be that good?
I think they're really good. Yeah.
I hope so, because I think they might be doing some carrying on the offensive side for that. So
that's the issue, right? Is how far can 17-year-old Ryan Williams carry you?
He is 18 now.
The Peter Pan of wide receivers.
No, he's not, guys. Stick to the script. He's 17. Come on.
Yeah, so they do have a tougher schedule than they normally do. They are pretty notorious for scheduling a lot of pipsqueaks, some Mercers and some East. They still have Eastern Illinois there, but they do end up playing South Carolina on the road. That's a game that they are going to have to look at. They're going to have to worry about because South Carolina.
I'm excited to talk about South Carolina, man.
South Carolina only lost by 2 to them in Alabama last season, so that is a game to look forward to, especially with how they performed last season. They have the classic LSU Alabama matchup. That one is in Tuscaloosa, so that's it's good for them that they're at home, but that isn't up in the air of what will happen there. And then the Iron Bowl, like Chance said earlier, the Iron Bowl is always the Iron Bowl. One team could be significantly better than the other, and the other team could just somehow pull away and win that game. So,
one interesting thing. Have you ever noticed their cupcake game, their Mercer? It seems like they play Mercer every year. That game, where it's located each year, it's not at the beginning of their schedule. It's always strategically placed towards the end, right before a big game. This year is before that Auburn game. It gives them that extra week to just,
I promise we've all noticed it. Not even Ohio State does that.
But why is Alabama the only one who does that? Nobody else does that.
Because they're so much better than it's like the Kim Jong-un. They're like, they burn all of the calories that they consume. They work so hard. They're so good at football that they need that extra rest. They've earned it. They've earned a week 11.
They have to do that. They have to do that. Have you met their fans, dude? Even Nick Saban was notorious for saying that their fans would eat them alive for losing more than one game in a season.
Yeah. But I just think it's a strategic advantage. Why don't more teams do it?
I mean, that is a good question. I think it's a lot to do with tradition, and because it also makes you look bad. It makes you look like you're trying to avoid a late season fight. It makes you look like you're trying to give yourself an extra secret bye week.
Alabama gets away with it because of tradition. So why don't you just make a tradition for your school? We always play Mercer. Second the last week or third the last week.
Mercer's going to have a really tough schedule.
Mercer's 2026 schedule is going to be Ohio State, Alabama, Texas. It's just Mercer has now joined the SEC, but they're all non-conference games.
Now we're talking.
All right.
I think if you're not willing to commit to saying that Alabama is going to have a top 10 defense, then I'm not personally going to. You are. Oh, you are.
No, I did. Yeah, I did.
Chase, do you call that a hot take?
I think historically, no. But in the interest of this season, I'm going to say yes.
Are you willing to die on that hill, Chance?
That Alabama will have a top 10 defense?
Top 10 defense.
Yeah.
Chase, do you agree that that's a hot take?
Yeah, I agree that that's a hot take. I think statistically that is not going to show up this season.
I do not see them having an overall top 10 defense. Let's get this one on the board. That might be crazier than Duke, in my opinion.
Wait. Hold on. Did I just commit myself to rooting for Alabama? Oh my gosh.
What have I done?
That's what you just did.
Okay. Well, season's toast, guys.
You only have to cheer for their defensive side. They can score 0 points on offense, and
if I lose that bet, I will never be happier.
If they lose every game 3-0, then they would still absolutely have a top 10 defense.
On the other side, if they do have a top 10 defense, it will be bitter for me, but at least I'll get to see you guys get punished.
I'll give you
You guys
I'll give
will
you
be
one more
miserable.
chance to put a qualifier on it, just in case. Do you want to make that regular season only, or do you want to have that include postseason?
No, I think it has to be regular season only. That's only fair.
Okay.
Because you're gonna go up against better, bigger competition, and in the playoffs, anything can happen.
Yeah, but not if they end up being worse than you think. Then they could get a lower bowl game and they could salvage it by stomping somebody. But okay,
Like Michigan.
yeah, Alabama has a top 10
Slap it on the
regular
board,
season
Connor.
defense, says Chance. Before you dig yourself into any deeper of a hole, Chase, why don't you move us right along?
All right. Now that we got the elephant out of the way, let's talk about another amazing team that everybody wants to hear about. Missouri.
Oh my gosh, I just realized what a pun you made there.
You just realized that?
I just realized.
Thanks for paying attention,
It took me
man.
saying it twice. All
I
right.
have to emphasize my puns to
Yeah.
you now, Connor? Come on.
That just shows how not rent-free they're living in my head.
Chance, make sure next time to walk into the other room and just like tap him on the shoulder so he knows that a pun was said. As I was saying, another super interesting team, Missouri. Missouri, they've had some good years recently. That is not a normalcy for them. Missouri was a bottom of the barrel SEC East team for a long time. And then the last 2 seasons, they've had pretty solid seasons. They've competed against some really like tough teams, and they had a really good quarterback for a while. So, but now that's changed this season. They have a new quarterback. He's inexperienced, and I'm not sure that they're going to compete at the same level that they have in the last 2 years. So they only returned 2 out of their 10 best players, and I just don't think that it's going to bode well for them with other teams that have done so well in the transfer portal and returned a lot of their players. So they on the bright side, they kept it. They have one of the best offensive linemen in the nation in that Caden Green, and he's definitely going to be a bit of a safety net for whoever for their inexperienced quarterback. But I do think that that's going to help them quite a bit. They did well in the transfer portal. And Connor, do you have anything to say about that?
Well, they're a team that's been building a winning culture slowly but surely. I am totally blanking on their head coach's name, but he's putting together something worth watching, and it would be really nice to see them be able to continue some of that success if they can continue to get those recruits, which is so hard to do as a smaller market SEC team. It's very difficult to maintain that. But if he's able to, then yes. Their schedule this year for an SEC schedule is not bad. Reaching bowl eligibility should be very well within their grasp. Even if they do take a step back, they should still be able to make a bowl game. We talked about this on the Big 12 episode too, but that week 2 matchup against Kansas is looming large for both teams. I really think Kansas has the edge, but Missouri is at home in that one. So it could be highly competitive. Louisiana, as far as a group of 5 team, they had some good years, but those years are done. And then Mississippi State, obviously UMass is pretty much a guaranteed win against basically anybody in the entire country. I think there are several high school football teams that could beat them on most days. So 4 wins is pretty feasible, even 5 wins. They've got Oklahoma, A&M, Vanderbilt, and we'll see if Vanderbilt is able to continue any success. Auburn, Alabama, South Carolina. If they go, if they win two of those games, I think that they could definitely hit 6 or 7 wins. I don't know if this year's squad has the makings to take a step beyond what they've done the last 2 years. I don't think it's going to be a big step back, but I certainly don't think it's going to be a step forward. Next year, I think that if they continue to build a culture, then I think that they could make another top 20 kind of run.
Yeah,
Anything to add, Jan?
for me, watching them last year, I just thought that they were overrated. And I think this year it's going to show even more. I mean, you look at their schedule last year, and they had a decent year, but I mean, it was again not a terribly hard schedule. And when they lost, they lost. They lost 41-10 at Texas A&M, 34-0 against Alabama. They did make it close to their credit versus South Carolina, but I mean, close one to Arkansas. They had a close one to Oklahoma, close one to Auburn, close double overtime to Vanderbilt, and then they blew out some FCS teams. I think they're not going to have that much room for error this year. It's going to be even tighter, and I think they're going to lose a lot more games. I see maybe a 6-6 team out of this. They lost a lot of star power. We forget Luther Burden, right? He was one of the best wide receivers in the country.
Yeah.
You don't have him to bail you out anymore.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think we're all in agreement that I think getting a bowl game is kind of where they're shooting for right now. Maybe they get an extra game or two, but they don't have a horrible schedule, but they definitely have some games that they are probably not going to be favorited in. I mean,
if their schedule was any harder, I would be saying that they're not even making a bowl game.
I mean, they gotta play Oklahoma in Oklahoma. They gotta play Texas A&M. That's at home. Auburn on the road is not a gimme. Alabama at home and South Carolina at home. Those are all up in the air games for them. So
yeah. They're and I hate to say it because they're an easy program to like, especially in the SEC.
Yeah.
They're a cool program, and they've produced quite a bit of talent over the years, but nothing this year that excites me.
You know, at least they're not the worst Tigers team in the SEC. There's only 4 of them.
Yeah. They are one of the top 4 best Tigers in the SEC.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the team that is worse than them is Kentucky. Kentucky has a tough schedule this season, and I do not see anything going their way really this season. Last season, they put up a good fight against Georgia. They held them until literally the last drive of the game, only lost by a point or two. And that was really the highlight of their season was that, and I think an upset win against Ole Miss. But besides that, they only had 4 wins. So I think they're gonna have a very similar outing this season. They have games against Florida, Texas, Georgia, South Carolina, Ole Miss. I don't, and Louisville to end the season in the rivalry game. I don't think this is going to be a very fun season for the Kentucky Wildcats.
Do we see 4 wins? Is that what we're looking at?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think. I have them at 5-7, but that is 1-7 in.
Well, let's be real about our expectations for Ole Miss. I would be careful thinking that Ole Miss is going to be able to repeat their success from last year, but I don't know if they're gonna fall off hard enough to lose to Kentucky. But
are you saying that because of the loss of Jackson Dart?
Yeah, well,
because a lot of people are looking very highly on Simmons.
Sure, just unproven, and they had a lot of NFL level talent on there.
I've seen some people say that he can be in the Heisman contention.
Okay.
I'm not saying I'm that way. And they're basing it off of one drive against Georgia.
Georgia, whose defense was usually great, but occasionally just fell apart. They could have just caught it. They could have just caught him sleeping in that.
That's all you can go off of. He threw 32 passes last year, and he had one drive. But I mean, he is a highly touted recruit, and I mean, it was an awesome drive. But yeah, I don't know. They could be anything, but they've shown that they can develop quarterbacks and they can throw the ball. And they have some talent.
Well, Kentucky, They always play Kingslayer to certain other teams. They're gonna ruin somebody else's season, but they're never. They would have to have so many things go right for them to be in any kind of serious conversation about being in the top 5 of this league.
Sorry, I was referring back to Ole Miss on those comments. I'm still curious on who your 5th win is, Chase.
For Kentucky.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I lost it. I thought we were done.
Because I've got Toledo, I've got Eastern Michigan, and I've got Tennessee Tech. I got 3 wins there.
You're saying that outside of you're saying they're gonna get run through.
Well, I mean, you can
in
maybe
conference?
pick up one game. Who you gonna beat? South Carolina, Georgia Tech, Tennessee? I mean,
Their
maybe.
best shots are South Carolina, Auburn, and Vandy. South Carolina, they're loaded with talent, but that's another program that just tends to fall apart when you don't expect them to.
Last year, they when they needed it, they turned it up. I
Yeah,
mean,
in the second half, you realize that they started off 3-3, and then they snapped off 6 straight wins.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. When they needed to, they turned it up. But
And
I expect South Carolina to be very good.
I mean, that loss against Alabama was on one play at the very end. It was as close as you can get. He was out of bounds. The receiver was out of bounds in the end zone, but it was by that much. I mean,
yeah.
If that guy had just like rotated his toes ever so slightly, then Alabama would have had 4 regular season losses, 5 with the loss to Michigan. Obviously, they would have gotten a different bowl game, but you get what I mean. And that would we could have seen an 8-5 Alabama team, and South Carolina would have, and especially going from number 1 in the country, then they would have lost 2 in a row, and then they would have just plummeted in the rankings. And we probably wouldn't even be having this conversation about expanding to this 16-team playoff. And it was that close, that one play. And so South Carolina could be very real this year, but that could be a game. I'm lumping that in on Kentucky's schedule among the Louisville, Vanderbilt, and Auburn games as opportunities that historically Kentucky can play Kingslayer to.
I mean, they have to play to 2 teams to reach 5 wins, that's nuts. That's crazy to think about.
Yeah.
So I actually do have them at 4 wins. It was a typo on the thing I read,
okay.
but
yeah, I think they can pick up
could see them getting 5 because they did beat Ole Miss last season and they're playing them at home. They could play Kingslayer to them. And then Vandy's could be a win, might not be, and then those 3 out of conference games should be wins, hopefully for them.
I think you got to pick up a win at Auburn somehow, which is tough.
I don't see that.
You see Ole Miss over Auburn.
Ole Miss is at home, and they beat them last season with Jackson Dart. So I think that is a lot more winnable of a game for them. Even though I would consider Ole Miss a better team than Auburn, I think the matchup and where they're playing comes into a factor.
Auburn is also not a king to be slain. That's a game that I would usually expect to be fairly even, and those kind of games are the games that Kentucky typically loses.
Guess we'll see.
Yeah, but I don't think
any way you roll the dice, it is rough. It's going to be a rough season for Kentucky, probably.
This would be considered a very successful season if they reach a bowl game. Let's be honest.
Oh yeah.
They would wildly exceed expectations no matter what.
The ceiling is 6-6 make a game or bowl game. That's how crazy it is.
Yeah.
Sorry, Big Blue. Hopefully, basketball season is better for you this season.
Yeah.
Hey, all right. Mark Pope is going to take places.
Moving on to another king to be slayed. Texas, the big bad of the SEC right now. Lots of hype surrounding this team, and
the Texas Longhorns.
The Texas, yeah. The Matthew McConaughey team, right?
Yes. Are with the greatest player to ever set foot on a college football field, according to the wisest authority on college football that ESPN has for some reason employed for years, Paul Feinbaum.
He is great at saying stupid things. Anyway, Texas is going to be interesting. You know, obviously they have that week 1 matchup with Ohio State in Columbus, so that's definitely going to be a game to watch. It's really a battle of giants there of who's going to be the favorited team to win the championship after that game. I think whoever wins that is going to be the team that's really getting the hype for the playoffs. So
yeah,
Chance, how do you see that game going?
That is a good question. I think it's going to be close. I think you're going to see explosive plays all over the field. You've got some of the best players playing against each other. They're going to showcase that. Man, either team winning is almost a loss. I think
That's how I felt in the semifinals. It's a rematch of the semifinals. That's how I felt in that game too.
I do have Ohio State winning the game narrowly.
What about you, Connor?
Yeah, I hope that it's as competitive as we all want it to be. Good news is, first game of the season, weather's not going to be any kind of a factor because that can sometimes play a role in later season games at Ohio State. Texas fans, they travel very well. There's Texas fans all over the planet, and obviously, the shoe is going to be vastly scarlet and gray, but they're not going to be going into an overly hostile environment because I guarantee you there have been people who have had tickets to this game bought for like years now. But they both lost a lot of people to the draft, but they both have top tier recruiting classes and both have excellent coaches. Do you think that in general Steve Sarkisian is a better coach than Ryan Day? We're going to find out very fast whether Archmania is a real thing. This kid has had so much pressure put on him since the day he set foot on campus, and Texas fans are either going to love him or the second that that his completion percentage drops below 75%, they're going to want to crucify him.
Unfortunately, that might be the problem for the game. Is they're going to have 4 of 5 new starters on their offensive line for this game, so he might have a lot more pressure on him than he wants to have.
And he's a way better scrambler. We already know that he's a way better scrambler than Quinn Ewers was. Mm-hmm. The question is he going to have the discipline to make the decisions against an elite level defense right out the gate? I mean, he gets no warm up. He is getting thrown straight to the wolves starting on the first play.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. Like you said, my biggest concern for the game was the Texas line, how they're going to be doing. I think they get better over the course of the season, but first game up against Ohio State, and then the secondary is awesome for Ohio State. Their linebackers are awesome. I mean, there's just no room for errors, and coming in out of the gate for Texas, I just think there's going to be more errors on that side of the ball for them. So that's why.
But they do have the talent to stay with them, though. They do have the talent to win the game.
No doubt. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if Texas. It's going to be a really close game, but I give the edge to Ohio State. I do have a question for you, Connor. We did see Arch Manning last year. What has he done, or what did he do during those games to give you such hesitancy? Because, I saw a pretty dang good quarterback last year. Granted, not the toughest of games, but he lived up to the hype in those games at least.
He did, but there's a difference in mindset when you get designated the starter. Like when you are the leader, you're not up and coming, you're not a novelty, you're not hopeful. When you become the guy, the mantle of responsibility increases a lot. And we never knew last year if he was going to be put in for a series, if he was going to be taken out. Is he going to stay the starter? And the pressure was not on him to be the one to take them to the championship. The pressure was on him to be the one to make sure not to mess it up so that Quinn Ewers could come back and do his thing. This year, it's just different. And I'm not saying that we didn't see the incredible talent. Certainly. Obviously, throwing for 4 touchdowns in your debut against any team is incredible. And he obviously comes from some very athletic blood. And we saw that on full display. He is fast. He's agile. And I'm not super worried about the depth of their line because I know that their recruiting has been so good for so long that their line is going to be good. Now, is it going to be as good as it was last year? I don't know, but it could be. It certainly could be. I'm only pausing because I feel like it's just reckless again. And we talked about this in the very first episode we ever did, where we don't want to give people credit before it's due. If he had started even half the season, or this was his second season as a starter, I would be a lot more high on it. Just everybody is expecting the world out of him, and I think it's unfair to do that to him. And I'm not willing to make a prediction based on so little data.
Yeah, I'm not putting him as he's Heisman or bust or anything, but I
That's what the
mean,
rest of the nation's doing.
what?
That's what the rest of the nation's doing.
Yeah, I'm not ready for that, but they're so loaded. Offensively, they have actually some dudes. They are
Yeah.
loaded, and I mean defensively too. But they have a really good offense that uh, maybe he's not a Heisman, but he's still going to be so good. I mean, you put him. We were just talking about it off the camera. You put him in the Big Ten, he's probably the best quarterback there, right? So
Oh,
I mean,
by far.
yeah, I mean he's still going to be very successful, and I think him and the offensive line are going to grow over the season. So they may lose to Ohio State, but coming to the end of the season when you pick up the game against Georgia or whatever, they're going to be ready, and maybe they'll be able to win that game this year.
Maybe,
Yeah.
I think he's going to have a lot of opportunities to prove himself this year. Texas's schedule this year is a far cry from what it was last year. Last year it was nothing special except Georgia, and now it is a absolute slaughter. It's Ohio State right off the bat. Then a couple weeks later they play Florida in the swamp, which is not going to be an easy game. Playing in the swamp, coming from an LSU fan, is not a fun game to go into unless you know you're favorited by like 2 touchdowns. That is not a fun game to be involved in. That is a great crowd that makes it a very hostile environment to play against.
That's a super team, by the way, Florida.
That's that's the one that I'm really excited to see if they take the next
definitely
step.
get to talking about Florida. Trust me.
Yeah.
They still got to play Oklahoma. While that's going to be a neutral site game, they'll probably win that pretty easily. That's still a rivalry game, and you never know with that one. And then obviously Georgia on the road. Georgia's already in their head from 2 losses in a row. I don't know if they can go into Athens and take that from them. So I actually have them beating Ohio State in the first game. I think that Ohio State might come with a little bit of a hangover from their championship. I think because their quarterback is more of a question mark at Ohio State than it is at Texas, I think they're going to pull away with that game in a close fashion. But I don't think they go into Georgia later in the season and win. That is something I don't think Texas has in them. I think most of their other games they will win though. So the Florida one, that's the biggest question mark outside of those 2 games.
Their schedule is pretty consistently difficult. It's not like they got the whole first half of the season that's soft, and then the second half it picks up, or vice versa. It's like they are constantly looking forward to the next game the next week. And Kentucky and Mississippi State are back to back on the road. Those are always tough sequences to have. I just know that on August 30th at 11 a.m. our time, I'm gonna be having that game on, because that's gonna be a great football game.
What's the floor for this ceiling? I mean, is it 3 losses and a playoff berth still?
Not with 3 losses, because if their 3 losses are Ohio State, Georgia, and some combination of A&M, Oklahoma, or Florida, they're gonna be ranked too low at that point.
I don't know. They tried to put Alabama in, losing to Oklahoma, a 6-6 Oklahoma and a 6-6 Vandy.
Yeah, but then they didn't. Ultimately, then they didn't. And this team will also, if they have 3 losses, 2 of which are in conference, they probably won't make.
You would have to bank on the ACC being decided by 3 points again in overtime between SMU.
I mean, that's fair. They did have the SEC did get 3 teams in last year, regardless, and a 2-loss Texas team would still, which I guess 2-loss Texas team made the playoff last year.
Yep, 2 losses, not a 3-loss. One in the championship, and both took Georgia. So
yeah, I mean that's still a really strong resume. I mean that there was no doubt that Texas deserved to be there last year.
I think they could easily get 3 losses, with their 3rd loss being to Florida, and still make the college football playoff.
I think that's their floor. I think 3 losses and playoffs.
I think they're pretty much guaranteed, barring injury, that they will be making the playoffs.
And let me be real. I don't see this like that would be a falling apart. A collapse for this team would be to lose 3 games in the regular season.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This team can and should win 11 games.
They're loaded on both sides of the ball, so they have two guys returning from injury, and Derek Williams at safety and C.J. Baxter at running back. I don't.
Yeah.
This team is just they're the team, one of the top 3 teams probably in the nation right now. So
isn't their third string running back Bo Jackson? I'm pretty sure. I
don't know.
Like his son, or just named Bo Jackson?
I don't know. I just saw Bo Jackson and I was like, dang, they've got a running back that's Bo Jackson.
Huh.
I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that.
All right.
Interestingly enough, though, I don't have them in the conference championship, but only because they actually play one less SEC game. So they only play 8 instead of 9, and I think that might come to bite them, at least for a conference championship bid. They'll still get an easy bid to the playoffs, but the conference championship might not be a thing for them if they lose too. Transitioning from that, let's talk about Georgia, the team that seemed to be living inside of Texas's head. They have been a dominant team the last few years, but they've also seemed to be pulling back a little bit just from the dominant teams they were in 2021 and 2022. The big question with Georgia really is Gunnar Stockton it? Can Gunnar Stockton step up and do something that Carson Beck was not able to do? I think Gunnar Stockton is a lot grittier of a quarterback. He was throwing his body into the middle of a ton of defensive players, just taking hits and just trying to make it work for his team. And he did for a while, but he couldn't make it work against Notre Dame, and that did not work out for him there. But I think this year, I think he is going to step up quite a bit. They have so much talent on that team. They got a transfer out of USC, your favorite school, Connor, Zachariah Branch. And I think he's going to help them at the skill position of wide receiver a lot. And I think if Gunnar can connect with him and some of the other talent they have, I think he's definitely going to do enough for what they need from him. One question mark I do have on them, though, outside of quarterback, is their secondary. They have a pretty new secondary, so it'll be interesting to see if they can compete against the bigger teams in the SEC.
Well, what I got to say is it seems like they took over Alabama's schedule. They've got
you saw that too? You saw that week 11 matchup?
Yeah, and they've got piece of cake ones in beforehand too. I mean, hey, if you can't beat them, join them, I guess. Maybe they learn that.
And they sure can't beat them.
We're the it team now. We can get away with this.
If there's one team that they certainly can't beat, it's Alabama. They beat Texas twice last year, but they couldn't beat Alabama.
I don't know if it's a hot take. I think Georgia will finally do it this year. They play them in Athens, and I think they could pull it out this season.
I don't think that's a hot take at all.
Okay.
I am not nearly as high on Alabama. Do I think they're going to be good? Yes, but I think that they're vulnerable. I think they're always going to be vulnerable this season, and anybody who's good could take them down. And if anybody will do it, it would probably be Georgia.
Yep.
At least at that point in their schedule.
Yep, they definitely have some games on their schedule that I do think they could struggle in. I mean, they obviously struggled against Georgia Tech last season, going into 8 overtimes. One of the more entertaining games to watch, outside of the excessive timeouts on the side of Georgia, especially. That was kind of a bore to see every 5 seconds. But 8 overtimes in a rivalry week game right before, in a game that really shouldn't have mattered that much to Georgia since they were already in the SEC championship. But that was a really fun game to watch, and Georgia Tech really competed with them. So obviously they got to play Texas. That's in Athens. So I do think that's a game that Texas is going to struggle in. And they play Florida in a neutral site game in Jacksonville to sell more tickets for it. I did have originally, when I thought it was a game in the swamp, I had Florida taking that game. But if it's a neutral site game, I think Georgia's going to pull it out now.
Florida is one of the most interesting teams this year, and that's later in their schedule. And if Florida ends up actually being able to live up to the hype, then that game's a toss-up. We will know quickly who Florida is, though.
I do have Georgia taking the second spot in the SEC championship this year, but only because most of their schedule is pretty easy, and I do think they would probably win the tiebreaker over Alabama if they beat Alabama. So,
who's your first team?
We'll get to that.
Oh, okay. So the second team. So you have a
Alright.
team that's higher in the standings, but they're going to take the second spot.
Yep.
Sounds like
right?
you want to move on. Jay, sounds like you got someone you want to talk about.
Oh, we'll get to that, but not yet. So
Okay.
well, Connor seems really interested in Florida. So I'll actually let you lead off with this one. I think Florida's a really interesting team. I think they competed well last season. They obviously upset LSU in a very depressing game for me to watch, but they got some real good talent on that team, Connor.
DJ Lagway could be a dude this year. He made quite a few mistakes, but you want to talk about someone who showed flashes of brilliance? When he was on, man. And like he could make it happen. And he can make it happen with his legs, but he has the discipline. Even last year, he had the discipline to still be looking downfield. This is a big comparison, so I'm not saying it's a direct comparison. I'm saying just stylistically. Lamar Jackson has developed into a much better pocket passer as he's stopped relying on his legs and started relying on his arm strength. And DJ Lagway has a lot of echoes of that early on. How he can run, he can move, but he knows that he's a quarterback first. And I think that this season he could take a big leap forward. Having him solid allows everybody else around him to be solid. Now, they did lose some people. They lost Elijah Badger to the NFL, who's easily one of the better underrated receivers in college football last year. So that's going to be a hole to fill. But they have people. This is again, I'm totally blanking the coach's name right now on this one too.
Billy
But
Napier.
yeah, okay, I was gonna say Napier, but yeah, he's been there for this is what his fourth season now.
Mhm.
He's gotten his feet under him as a solidified SEC coach now, and they had glimpses of success. People also want to play at Florida. This is a program that is storied and proud and is fun to watch for a lot of people. Obviously, not so much LSU fans most of the time, but yeah, but for the majority of the country and people, especially in a state like Florida, they love this team. They love this program. It's easy to recruit there, and I think now they're getting the reputation. They're going to be able to fill in some of the gaps. And where I would normally say that he doesn't have the supporting cast, I think DJ Lagway has hero energy in him, and he can elevate an otherwise inexperienced receiver core. And because of that, I think that their ceiling is really high. Their floor is also pretty low, and they have a fairly rough schedule. Their first two games are against pretty cupcake teams, but then they have 4 games in a row at LSU, at Miami, home against Texas, and then at Texas A&M. When I say we're going to know if these Gators are legit, if they come out of that first half of the season 5-1, that's absolutely a top 10 team. And then on the back end, Georgia, Ole Miss, Tennessee, and then the Florida State rivalry game, as always.
One of the toughest schedules in the league, man.
Yeah, it really is. And so am I saying they're gonna do it? No, there's a lot of possibility for error. But if they do, I mean that's absolutely a top 10, if not top 5. If they can get through that with just 1 or 2 losses, then they're guaranteed a playoff spot. And this could be one of the better teams in the country this year if they manage to put it all together. And I do think they have what it takes.
I think for me personally, Florida is going to be one of the funnest teams to root for because they're going to be a legit dangerous team that loses a bunch of games and takes down a bunch of Giants. I mean, I can't see them in the playoff with that schedule. They're going to lose too many. But each week they're going to go up against that team that you're going to be like, are they going to beat Miami? Are we going to take down LSU this week? Is it Tennessee's time? Are we going to take them out of the playoffs? Are they going to be the one that beats Georgia? I mean, and they're going to win some of those games. And then they're going to lose too many to be nationally relevant for the playoffs. But they're going to change. They're going to be that Kansas in the Big 12 where it's like, you're ruining everything. And some people are going to hate it. LSU fans might hate it. But the rest of us are going to love it because of what they're doing to college football.
Yeah.
I actually have them going about 8-4, but that is a gritty 8-4. I think
Wow.
that is a very good 8. I think that's the best 8-4 I'd ever seen. Like I'd have been
Yeah.
satisfied with that. With the schedule they have, I think they can beat Miami. I think they'll beat Texas because they're at home. I think they'll beat Texas. I think they'll find a way. But going on the road to College Station and then playing Georgia, I don't know about those ones. And then Ole Miss on the road too. That one's questionable as well. So Tennessee, I think, might be a bit more favorable for them because I just don't think Tennessee's going to be the playoff team they were last season.
No, if we want to just for the sake of time go through some of the ones that we unfortunately we give a pre kind of memorial for, I think Tennessee is in there.
Arkansas,
Tennessee, Arkansas, Auburn. I don't see any improvement coming out of Mississippi State too. Mississippi State could get better this year, but only because their floor was so awful last year.
Is probably going to go 0-8 in SEC play.
Yeah, there's not a lot to be excited about with that program. There just isn't. I hope we get proven wrong, but I don't see a possibility of it.
And I don't think they're going to win all of their own out of conference games because they're going to play ASU. So they're going to win a ton of small schools. That's a sad thing to see for them too, because they used to compete pretty well with Ole Miss and some other teams, and now they're just bottom of the barrel. But they could surprise us. Let's see.
So the remaining question marks on are they going to be good, and if so, how good? Let's talk Oklahoma, Ole Miss, South Carolina. I think we can all agree that Vanderbilt, we hope, is going to be fun to watch, but that's pretty much all they're going to be. They're not going to be a legit contender for anything but a mid-tier bowl game at best.
Do we know the age gap between Diego Pavia and Ryan Williams?
20 years. No.
20 years? Could he be his father? Have we checked this?
Yeah. No. Diego Pavia is an animal, and
is it his 6th year?
I think this is his last year. He played quite a bit in
it is. But is it his 6th year? I think.
I want to say, I mean, he's probably one of the final COVID holdovers.
Yeah, well, he's no Cam Rising. But
hey, man, that guy,
Cam Rising,
you never know.
He's going to transfer to BYU now.
He's like 45, pretty much. So,
yeah.
I think another fun team to talk about is South Carolina. I think we saw them on the verge of making the playoffs last season. I think they have a phenomenal quarterback in Norris Sellers. Not only is he phenomenal, but he's become a little bit of a favorite for that school, as he was offered $8 million to abandon the Gamecocks this offseason, and he said no. Not only, but he's not the only one too. Somehow their defensive end Dylan Stewart, same thing. He was offered about $8 million in NIL from an undisclosed team, and he said no. So that's got to be something to do with the coaching staff there to keep those players wanting to stay there and play for that team when they could just run away and take the money like some people at UCLA might be doing. So I think that's really
South Carolina also, they've got it's still a tough schedule, but they have a ramp up and ramp down to their schedule. Mm-hmm. They've got a pretty easy non-conference, and then the middle is just meat on meat on meat. But then they have a slight break before going into the Clemson game, which is obviously always going to be a crazy game. But this schedule, if they're a legit team, is doable as far as letting them solidify themselves and then be able to kind of be at a mid-season form. They should be able to peak at the right time.
I'm going to give you guys a name to look out for, and it's Nick Harbor. I'm going to just listen to some of these stats. He's a wide receiver. He's 6'5". He weighs 235, and he runs a 20-20-200.
What? At that big?
Yes. I mean, it's Metcalf in College 4.
Yeah.
And he was splitting time last year between the Olympic trials and football. So he needs a little bit of time and some coaching to shore up some of his route running and whatnot. But this offseason has committed himself to only playing football. He dropped the track and field, and that's what he's
Wow.
focusing on. So look out for that duo of that QB and wide receiver, because they're gonna blow it up, and you're gonna see Nick Harbor in the NFL, I think.
Goodness. That's impressive.
Yeah, there's gonna be something's going on with that coaching staff to be talking kids out of going to the Olympics and taking huge pay cuts
Yeah.
to play for them. Like
Yeah.
I don't know what they're doing there, but they're doing a good job. I got to say.
That's culture and leadership, man, and that's what
Mhm.
makes the difference between at the end, the bottom line.
Mm-hmm. Yep. South Carolina, I think they're going to be at the top of the conference. I think they're going to be another team that suffers from only having 8 SEC games, and I think that might hurt their chances at the SEC championship. But I do think that because that also might help them get into the playoffs is not having that extra SEC game. So they do have to beat Clemson at the last game of the season, though, and that's not a gimme.
Yeah.
It is,
No.
they've had their number recently, and they do play them in South Carolina, so they should be good, but you never know in those rivalry games. Alabama
Yeah.
and LSU, those games, LSU is on the road and Alabama is at home, so those are some games to watch.
Oklahoma and A&M, I think, are teams that unfortunately are once again just not going to be able to live up to their talent. Though I do think Oklahoma is going to see marked improvement this year.
I don't know.
I
I
don't-
kind of like Oklahoma.
I'm just saying. I don't think that. Yeah, I'm hoping they get to 8 or 9, but I don't think that they break 10.
I think they will have a slight improvement at adding one extra victory in there.
I'm a big John Mateer guy. I think
John
he's
Mateer from Washington State.
Yes, he was my number 1 QB transfer guy.
He can sling it, man, and he can run more than you'd think too. But the defense,
you gotta remember, Oklahoma was banged up on the offensive line last year, and they're much healthier. They're gonna hold up a lot better. Their defense was awesome, great defense. So if you naturally improve on QB and your line, I don't know. I think they're dangerous. I'm not saying that they're gonna make the championship game, but I mean, if I'm a team, any team in the SEC, I'm worried about that game that I play against them. I legit am. I think they can beat anybody.
Yeah, I think especially if you play in Norman, I think that they are a giant slayer this season. I think they have the talent. The question really is going to be their offense, though. That's very easy to say with Brent Venables, the head coach. That they have a very strong defense, which was never Oklahoma's thing. They were always a very good offense and not a good defense. Brent Venables has changed that. They have had a very strong defense the last couple of years, but their offense has just been so stagnant and inconsistent. John Mateer is definitely a great pickup from the transfer portal, but the question with him is the same question he had at Washington State was, can he win against higher competition? Because he was kind of winning against some smaller Mountain West teams, but when he came against bigger teams, he was struggling a bit. So I don't know if he can come into the SEC and compete at that level.
Yeah,
we'll see. But if he can, boy, yeah, watch out for Oklahoma.
I do wonder about Brent Venables being on the hot seat if they don't do well, though. I don't know if they're expected high, but they OU is a win or like a playoff or bust, Big 12 championship or bust team. So now that
you can't give that guy Jackson Arnold and have him bust, and then give him John Mateer and bust again. You can't.
Yeah.
You have to make it work this time.
Yeah.
Chase, why don't you bring it home with this one, your favorite? Go ahead. Tell us what your hot take is about the Tigers.
I did have some things to say about some other teams, but I can go to LSU if you want.
No way.
Huh?
Is this the team that you're putting in the championship?
We will see.
Okay. All right. Go ahead. I'll be patient.
Quick, just a quick thing to get in there. I do want to mention Auburn. They are a good team. I don't think they're going to compete at the highest level, but they do play giant killer. The question with Auburn is they always are up there in recruiting. They're always top 10 in recruiting, and they never make anything of it. So really the question is, if they don't compete this season, does Hugh Freeze have a job? I don't think if he can't pull a couple upsets out, especially I think the Iron Bowl is a big one. If he can pull that one off, that's a job saver. But if he can't pull a couple out of his hat this season, I think he might be on the hot seat.
Agreed.
Big problem with their offense is just there's way too many turnovers. They have way too much talent, and that's what kicks them out of games. So.
And that's coaching, and that's the problem with Auburn is they haven't had consistently quality leadership. Like if your talent isn't being taken advantage of, then I'm sorry, that's on the coaching staff, and that is going to reflect on Hugh Freeze. And I don't think he has a lot of chances left.
I am curious if they're recruiting just because, or if he's actually helping them recruit and then just not turning them out. It's pretty interesting, honestly. I'm surprised to see them that high in the recruiting rankings and then just not breaking 7 wins each season. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Are they cursed, Connor?
What's that?
Are they cursed?
No, they're not cursed. They just got bad leadership there. And
that one season, they were the opposite of cursed. They had some good juju on their side, winning against Georgia and Alabama. Oh man, I'm going to talk about one more team before you get to what you want me to talk about. So, I'm going to talk about Texas A&M. They got a really, really talented young man at quarterback, Marcel Reed. He really pissed me off last season when he came in as the backup quarterback and demolished us. It was a really, really sad second half to watch him just ruin my season for me. But he is a very talented rusher. My question marks with him this season is, can he be more accurate with his throws? Because if he can start doing that, then he's going to be really hard to stop at College Station.
That is a big question mark for him. He is a guy who is able to rely on that. He kind of reminds me of Malik Cunningham, who was supposed to be the second coming of Lamar Jackson, but he didn't have the arm. And it was very obvious that he had all the legs, but when it comes to being a quarterback, you have to be able to pass the ball. It sounds dumb just to say it like that, but it's the truth when it comes down to playing that position at the Division I level, at the SEC level. If you can't make the throws when it counts, I really don't care if you can get me 4 yards on third down with your feet. You're not going to be able to do that.
Advocate?
Go for it.
Yes, you have to be able to throw the ball, but these days, you almost have to run the ball as well to be someone good.
I think you have to have the ability to. I don't think you need to be a strong rusher, but I think you have to have the ability to, in emergency situations, to turn losses or sacks or throwaways into 3-yard, 4-yard gains that change a third and long into a third and short.
That's what Caleb Williams and Tua did to earn their accolades. Was they could run, but they used their running ability to set up their throws. They would scramble and they would get past the line of scrimmage quite a bit, but the main aspect was being able to be evasive. And I didn't see Marcel Reed doing that consistently, so it would show if he's able to develop further, he would need to take a huge step in that particular direction. And that I don't see him making that big of an improvement. And for that reason, I don't see Texas A&M. I'm not willing to put money on them.
Is it fair enough to say that you need to have the ability on 3rd and 5 that the play breaks down, you can pick up the 5 yards on your feet? And if you can't do that as a QB, you will never be elite. Is that fair to say?
To pick it up every once in a while, sure. To pick it up consistently.
It's not a guarantee every single time, right? Because they might have a spy or whatever. But if you're not fast enough to break that line that the linebacker has and have the ability to get that 5 yards, it limits so much of your game nowadays.
It is imperative for college quarterbacks to be athletic these days. Yes. The degree of athleticism is questionable depending on the offense that you're in. But yeah, and that's where a lot of guys get into trouble is they're, the fastest guy in their high school or whatever, and they have a decent arm, and so they think, oh, well, I'm just going to get all these highlight reels, and then they get to the real world, and then they realize, oh, sometimes there are fast defensive ends, or some teams just know how to play contain, and so yeah, I'm just going to force you to throw the football, and then you're going to get exposed as not having the complete package, and that's what I worry about with Marcel.
Yeah. You also got to be careful because if you are doing this every play and then you get hit by the wrong guy and you're out for the season or out for a couple games, that could sideline your season as well.
There's something to be said on, like, if you're 3rd and 5, right? You get scrambled out of the pocket. You're going towards the sideline. The linebacker can either come up. He has to put himself in a position where he can tackle you before that 5-yard line. But if he breaks that, you've got a tight end or slot receiver coming around, and he has to choose between you and that receiver. And a lot of times you get the first down because it's a choice they have to make. And if you're smart enough, you pick one or the other, or he leaves one exposed, you get it. And not every quarterback has that. And that's kind of my argument in that is you open up the passing lane if you can do that, and you can do it successfully, but you have to make those smart choices. And we talk about, again, some of these quarterbacks that I don't think they have that talent or that mindset or maybe the skill to go with the running to break down that defender and say, hey, you're committing to me, I'm going to throw over the top of you. You're not, I'm going to take it.
Jalen Daniels at Kansas is really good at that. When he's one of the better ones to be able to bait people intentionally into that isolated coverage. It's like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't with someone like that who can throw on the run with such force, such accurate. Baker Mayfield was the same way. Johnny Manziel was the same way.
You've already got the hot take, Connor. You don't need to defend it anymore.
Just saying, I don't think Marcel Reed is at that level. It would show colossal improvement for him to get to that level this year.
And sorry, a little detour, but that's how I see Marcel Reed. He just doesn't have that for me yet.
Yeah, okay. I think we're in agreement.
I hope that that's how it continues because I don't want to see him succeed against my team again. But
hey,
an upside for that.
You need to make a hot take right now against LSU. I took one with Alabama.
We shall see. We shall see. Last thing on Texas A&M, a very good upside to their offense is they returned 7 offensive linemen. Their entire starting lineup is returning, plus their 2 best backups. So
that's awesome.
Have a lot of consistency in the running game and probably in the passing game. The real question is going to be their defense and how they can compete against SEC teams. So. Okay. Finally, what we've all been waiting for, obviously.
What Chase has all been waiting for.
Yeah. LSU, go Tigers. I have making the SEC championship and the playoffs and facing probably Georgia in that championship. LSU. There is a lot of people getting on the LSU hype train, but there's a lot of people calling them out and saying that it's not quite there. And I think that's fair. Garrett Nussmeier is a phenomenally skilled player. He is so good when he's good, but he tried too hard at certain points in certain games where he just, he wanted it so bad. You could see it in his eyes, and then he just tried so hard and threw a pick in like the worst fashion. You're like, where are you throwing it? Where are you throwing that? And I think that's just, it was his first year as a starter. He sat under Jaden Daniels for 2 years. He really stayed with our team, being committed to LSU. And I think he wanted it so bad that he got in his own head, and it really hurt our team a couple of times. It also didn't help that our defense wasn't very good or very healthy. We lost Harold Perkins at the beginning of the season. Towards the end of the season, we lost Whit Weeks. It was not fun for injuries for us. But I think this year we got a new O-line. And we lost quite a few of them to the draft. 4 of 5 of them were drafted in the first 3 rounds. So that's a bad sign for losing those players, but it's a good sign for the last couple of years we've been pushing out really good linemen. So I think that as long as that O-line can stay and protect Garrett, and Garrett can make some plays with with all the talent we have at wide receiver and running back, I think they're going to be the team to beat in the SEC. Do you guys have anything to add to that?
I actually really like LSU. I think the portal was amazing for them.
Number 1 in the portal this season.
Yeah.
Number 2, but yeah.
Number 1.
I put number 2. I still think Texas Tech had a little bit.
Tech had a great one too.
Yeah, they both had great ones. But I mean, I like Nussmeier. I like a lot about LSU. I will say I do have them losing the first week. I really like Clemson well, and I think that loss hurts them, and they've got to make it up, and they've got to go out and beat South Carolina, Texas A&M, and Alabama. But that being said, I mean, the rest of it looks pretty good. I mean, I can see them coming out with 1 or 2 losses, and I do have them as a playoff team.
Unfortunately, I can obviously see them losing the opener of the season for the 6th year in a row.
Well, hey,
since
Chase,
we've been cursed, Connor, we've been cursed since Joe
Chase,
Burrow had the best season in college history, and we haven't won an opener since. It's been horrible.
Be so shocked if this game could go either way, because you're playing another cursed team on opening week in Clemson. They have been awful in their last couple of openers. This Tigers versus Tigers is a very intriguing matchup.
Who are you guys?
Yeah, but it's it could honestly go either way. My thing with LSU this year is LSU's problem has never been a complete implosion, a complete collapse. LSU's problem has always been, can they get over the edge? Can they cross the finish line into greatness? Or are they just going to keep bumping their heads against the ceiling of very good? They've kind of got Penn State syndrome in that a little bit. And if this is the year, and I'm not saying, I actually do think that LSU is more talented than Penn State. I think that I would rather have Nussmeier than Drew Aller. I would rather have the offensive and most of the defensive playmakers that are at LSU. Brian Kelly and James Franklin are very similar coaches, though, in that they struggle to win the games that they really need to win.
Yeah, that is Brian Kelly, unfortunately.
And so that's my thing, is I really struggle to make any kind of prediction because the arguments are so strong both ways. This team is like, it's a coin flip in every one of their big games, which LSU is going to show up. And yeah, I hope you get over that. As much as I do like Clemson, I really do like Clemson. They're a fun program to watch. LSU has to win that game if they want to set their season up.
I don't think they have to win that game. I think it is probably the least impactful game in their season because it's not an SEC game. I think if they lose that game, and as long as they don't get blown out, obviously, getting blown out is a whole different story. That's absolutely demoralizing. But I don't think that's in the cards at all. I think it's going to be a close game, and I have LSU winning that game. I think there's no way that they can disappoint me for a 6th season in a row, right in the opener, and lose that game. As good as Clemson is, I think LSU is a much better team this season. I think they're it. I really do. Unfortunately for Brian Kelly, I think he's even stated, and a lot of the players have stated, that they are playoff or bust this season. The last 3 coaches for LSU have won a championship within their first 4 years. And this is Brian Kelly's 4th year. So if he doesn't do that, he will not make that list. So Les Miles won it within 3 years. Nick Saban within 4 years, and Ed Orgeron within a couple. So Brian's got to do it, man. LSU fans can't stand.
He's going to do what he wasn't able to do at Notre Dame in 12 years.
We cannot do the plateau. That's another thing. We cannot have another plateau season where we do just as good as last season and we play good in a okay bowl game where we're like, yeah, that was fun. Now let's talk about next year. We need to be in the playoffs. We need to be in the SEC championship, and we need to win the SEC championship. So
yeah. And you think that this is the team that's going to do it?
I do. I believe in Garrett. You know, I saw a lot of flashes especially that Ole Miss game, that last drive he had against them to win that game. Oh my God, dude! If he played like he really has the talent, man. He just I truly believe he just wanted it so bad that he got in his own head and lost some of those games. And obviously the defense really dug him so many holes with the secondary. But they are a much better defensive team this season. Our pass rushers are better than last season. I mean, having Harold Perkins back is huge. Whit Weeks is healthy. His brother's there. It's amazing. Like I truly believe that the defense is going to be like the defense we used to have in like the 2012s. I think it's going to be that close to that. So I think if they can do that and our offense can be top 20, I think they are going to be the team to beat in the SEC and possibly the college football playoff. So if you want me to say a hot take.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
So if you want me to say a hot take.
Hey, that's your body on the line.
It's only fair to have my first hot take and my first risks to my own body be that I think LSU is going to win the SEC championship, and I think they will. I think they're going to win the Natty this year.
Oh,
okay.
Wow. Okay.
I don't have them going undefeated. I don't have them going undefeated, but I have them winning the Natty.
So that's two things. You're saying they're going to do two things.
Yep.
Win the SEC and win the national championship. That does not necessarily mean they have to be undefeated, but you're saying that they will do both of those.
Yep.
Oh, Chase, you know what? If you would have said my hot take is they'll make the championship game, I would not have done that. I would have been like,
believe you. That's why I added it.
All right.
But doing those two, that's worse than Kansas.
Chance,
dude.
ask the question. Don't talk him out of it.
Oh,
worse than Kansas making the Big 12 Stop.
One team wins it all. One team.
Okay.
Ask your question, Chance. Sounds like you got one.
The magic is in the air.
Are you willing to die on that hill, Chase?
Correct.
All right.
Go Tigers.
Wow. All right. Get after it.
I do really like LSU. I do. But there's only one team that wins. And there is so little chance it's going to be LSU.
Since this is it's a lot more bold than making a championship. I'm gonna ask for one out. The one out is that they make it to the championship still, the national championship, and Garrett wins the Heisman. So if he does that and then loses, that gets me an out. But other than that, that's still a very
those are two separate things. So you're gonna have two contingencies on this. If you get both of these scenarios wrong, but you have to get one of them right.
Yep.
And I'll give you that. So
that's fair. They still have to win the SEC championship either way. So
either they win the national championship or the SEC and the national championship, or they win the SEC and Nussmeier for Heisman.
Yep.
You know what's going to be awful? Is when they lose against Alabama and we're all sad and you're extra sad.
Yeah, they could lose to Alabama and still make that championship game because I think Alabama's losing 2 games this season outside of
it. All right.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have Chase's first hot take.
If there's any team,
it's a big one. That's probably the hottest take of all of us so far.
If there's any team I have suffered the most for, it is the LSU Tigers. So I am totally comfortable suffering again. As long as they know that I believe in them.
You didn't make a hot take on Alabama, at least.
My hot take is that they're going to win 6 games.
No. Yeah. Well, no, I'm saying you don't have to root for Alabama. I think I might have it worse.
Yeah, that's
I'm sorry, but like you said earlier, I would rather take the punishment and watch Alabama lose 100%.
Yeah.
So I would be totally happy.
Well, I don't know. We haven't unveiled what the punishments are going to be yet, so that's rough.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
All right, everybody. This has been a very fun episode. This is going to be a very fun conference to watch. there's a lot at stake in the SEC. And I think that it's wide open, which is something we haven't been able to say for a long time. More teams and more conferences are trending toward evening the playing field. And I think that these are all good things that are happening to college football. I think it's going to make it more entertaining. I'm very glad to see that it's going to be a fun season, fun games to watch. And Chase, you're a bold man, and I absolutely love it. That's what we do here. That's what we do on the Concussion Protocol podcast.
You guys beat me. You guys beat me to those bold predictions. I had to outdo you. I had to.
Yeah, and you
I hope
sure
you guys
did.
Can follow suit. Let's see what you say about ASU in a little while.
Yeah, let's go. All right, we're gearing up for this season, guys. Fall camp starts in about 3 weeks. We've got a little bit more to review and some more fun stuff coming your way. It's going to be a good time. But for now, for the SEC deep dive, this is Connor signing off on behalf of Chance and Chase. This has been the Concussion Protocol podcast. See you next time.
Go Tigers.